This is CBC Vancouver News.
A plane hits a truck and crashes at a Langley airport. 3 people are in hospital.
Normally we'd have 150 crew and cast here.
But the writers' strike south of the border means thousands of people in BC's film and TV industry are already off the job.
I've been saying this for years, that Surrey has the best food scene.
And BC's second largest city gets some big culinary recognition. Good evening, I'm Dan Burritt. Thanks for being here. 3 people are in hospital after a plane crash at the Langley Regional Airport today. Fire and police say around 3 p.m. a privately owned Cessna was about to land when it hit a truck on 216th Street and crashed short of the runway, bursting into flames. Police say 2 people on board were airlifted to hospital. We don't know yet how badly they're hurt. Mounties say the driver of the pickup truck was taken to hospital. They're said to be in stable condition. The truck has a Township of Langley Parks label on it. The township did not return calls about the driver. The Transportation Safety Board is now involved. Developing news out of the Kootenays tonight, a landslide in Valaka north of Castlegar and Nelson has now prompted officials to issue evacuation orders. People on 3 properties in Little Slocan South Road have been ordered out and are being offered help. 5 other properties are on evacuation alert and the road has been closed. Emergency officials say a geotechnical engineer will fly over that area tomorrow morning. Just in this hour, flooding has Highway 97 closed in both directions at Stevenson Road in Cache Creek in BC. An assessment is in progress and a detour is available. Speaking of flooding, numerous homes in the Okanagan have been swamped after a swollen creek burst its banks. It's in a small community on the Okanagan Indian Band Reserve on the shore of Okanagan Lake. Brady Strachan reports.
Great big trees were ripping down and it just really fierce.
Just looking at the raging creek behind Phyllis Ebert's home, it's no wonder she's having trouble sleeping at night.
The unpredictability of a flood, it can turn in a minute. A turn in a minute and then we gotta go. And I think that's worrying.
She is one of dozens of homeowners in the small community of Parker's Cove near Vernon, now under an evacuation alert, ready to go at a moment's notice.
We just packed our bags, medicine, papers, anything that means something to us will go.
Already, Ebert's neighbors have been forced out. This normally quiet creek is now gushing with meltwater from a sudden hot snap in the Okanagan. Early Tuesday morning, it burst its banks and threw flood barriers meant to keep it back. Several homes, including these ones now surrounded by rushing water, are under an evacuation order.
Yeah, hopefully it stops.
Despite his grave situation, Steve Brandel still has his sense of humor. It helps him get through the hours of slinging sandbags to build this dike that's keeping the river back from his home.
Originally, this was just 2 sandbags high, that's it. And everybody said that would be fine. Well, as you can see today, it's not fine. We're up to 4 and 5 high now, and we're having to back support them so they don't blow through. So hopefully it holds. We'll see.
Not far away, neighbors are pitching in to help out, filling sandbags to protect the homes most at risk.
Yeah, we just work together, and the more numbers that we have, the easier the job. And so we put out a few posts on our local Facebook page so that we could rally the troops, and everybody's come.
Meanwhile, homeowners are watching the creek, preparing the best they can for whatever comes next.
Right now, we're okay. We're good. We just don't want any more bad news.
Brady Strachan, CBC News at Parker's Cove near Vernon.
Day one of the writer's strike in the U.S. means thousands of on-set workers here in BC are already off the job. As Michelle Gassoub reports, there's concern other contract talks could lead to a total shutdown.
Normally we'd have 150 crew and cast here, and this place would be buzzing.
Standing on the empty set of the hit show The Good Doctor shot in Burnaby, the impact of the writer's strike in the U.S. is already visible.
The scripts eventually run out. So a feature film that is written could continue and shoot regardless. And but a television series that typically is writing, we get scripts 10 days before you shoot them often, that will grind to a halt very quickly.
BC is home to other hit shows like Yellow Jackets, Riverdale, and soon Season 2 of the HBO smash hit The Last of Us. Last year alone, the film industry injected $3.6 billion into the provincial economy, employing around 40,000 people, 88,000 if you include freelancers. In a statement, Creative BC says this strike is far more complex than the one in 2007 because of changing business models, adding the global context of the industry has changed. Striking workers are asking for better compensation from shows distributed through streaming platforms and minimum staffing for writers' rooms, among other demands.
The show is set in San Jose, so this is an exterior of their apartment. So
Late-night shows where jokes are written week to week are already airing reruns, and depending how long the strike lasts, viewers may feel the impacts well into the fall.
You won't see new episodes of the network primetime shows airing in September if this goes on for months. If this is a few weeks, there'll be no significant impact. If we have a 3 or 4 month strike, then you'd see a massive impact on those shows.
A more long-term concern, the contracts for the Screen Actors Guild and the Directors Guild are also up in June, so more potential strikes in Hollywood.
So there's nothing we can do, but there will be thousands of crew members out of work.
Could lead to more quiet sets in BC. Michelle Gassoub, CBC News, Burnaby.
One of Vancouver's most famous neighborhoods could soon have fewer cars. City Council wants a new vision for Gastown, but as Justin McElroy shows us, it's not the first time Vancouver's considered this.
A neighborhood rich with history. Even if some of it was created only in the 1970s as part of a marketing ploy to play up its heritage.
Gastown is one of Vancouver's most loved and historically significant neighborhoods.
Gastown is loved, but it's also just a few very cramped blocks that lead into the heart of downtown, which means the streets are always busy and the wear and tear is showing.
Improperly maintained infrastructure and the lack of a clear, cohesive plan for this neighborhood has had an impact on residents, businesses, and visitors alike.
It's why the city announced a new plan for Gastown today, one that could involve a lot less cars rounding this awkward intersection.
The centerpiece of the vision includes pedestrianizing Water Street, looking at the options to make it either car-free or car-light on a seasonal or on a year-round basis.
Fixing the potholes, and consultations to study banning vehicles on Water Street and making Cordova a two-way street to deal with the traffic spillover. If it sounds familiar, that's because it is. In 2017, the city proposed pretty much the same thing, but after an initial round of consultation, the idea died. This time, councillors promise it will be different.
Right now, the stars have aligned that we have a council that is willing to invest in our neighborhoods and really takes the importance of public space and building our communities and supporting our small business seriously.
The size of that investment? $10 million. That's enough to pave over a lot of potholes, but whether it will pave over traditional conflicts over removing space for vehicles, a question that will take a longer time to assess as the city prepares for another round of consultation. Justin McElroy, CBC News, Vancouver.
Yesterday, a coroner's jury took about 6 hours to return its verdict in the death of Miles Gray. In a 4-1 decision, the jurors classified his death as a homicide, but implies no fault or blame. He died in August 2015 after a violent encounter with 9 Vancouver police officers trying to arrest him. As Belle Puri reports on the department's reaction.
For the first time since his death, there are more answers than questions about what happened to Miles Gray.
I'm just really relieved this whole process is over.
The coroner's inquest into Gray's death is a key chapter in a story that began on a hot summer's day almost 8 years ago. Gray was in town making deliveries for his Sunshine Coast wholesale floral business. After one of the drops, for whatever reason, he walked away from his van, leaving his wallet and keys behind. Then this.
Vancouver Police Emergency Line.
Hi there. We have a problem here. There is a guy who bothered my neighbor. She was just washing the outside, and he took the water and spray on her, and he's just standing in front of the door and swearing.
The man was described as shirtless with his boots in his hands. Gray wandered down the street and into the backyard of a home. The first officer on scene testified he was aggressive towards her. Eventually, there were as many as 9 officers fighting with Gray, who they said had superhuman strength.
He's challenging us to fight with us. He seems very intoxicated or very high.
Gray was restrained, punched, kicked, kneed, pepper sprayed, and struck with a baton. Within an hour, he was dead. The inquest heard Gray had struggled with bipolar disorder since 1999.
They need to be able to verbally de-escalate people. They need to learn what to do when somebody is in a crisis.
A forensic pathologist testified Gray died of cardiopulmonary arrest complicated by law enforcement restraint. The coroner's jury classified Gray's death as a homicide and recommended the Vancouver Police Department enhance its crisis de-escalation and containment training, improve coordination to determine leadership when multiple officers are on scene, and implement the use of body cameras with audio for all patrol officers.
There's no provincial money at this point, but obviously that being said, we are looking very closely at the coroner's recommendations.
After Gray's death, the Independent Investigations Office recommended charges against 4 officers involved in the incident. Crown Counsel declined. Now there's a call for that decision to be reconsidered given testimony at the inquest.
In particular, evidence that he was on his front, handcuffed, hobbled, and the previous suggestion was that he was on his side in a recovery position. That's not so.
In the fall, a handful of officers are scheduled to go before a disciplinary hearing. Gray's family says the outcome of the inquest is the best they could have expected.
It's kind of like I can kind of move forward and live now because I know that the truth has been aired publicly. We have a better understanding of what happened to Miles Gray that day, which I knew all along. And now everybody else knows it too.
Belle Puri, CBC News, Vancouver.
Surrey's food scene has earned it a big prize. That tasty story is next. Thanks for keeping with us on our commercial-free live stream. Still with BC News tonight, 2 men are dead after a boating incident off Haida Gwaii. The search team found the pair on Sunday. It was launched after the fishermen did not return to the village of Skidegate. Their community is now in mourning. It's not yet clear how they died. A week has passed since tenants at an apartment tower in Greater Victoria were forced out of their suites over concerns about the building's structural safety. Now it appears nearby businesses are being asked to close too. Staff at this preschool are one of several stores that were shut down last week as well. The city of Langford sent them a letter citing safety issues with nearby Ridgeview Place and saying an assessment was underway.
We had to close on the Thursday and Friday because they needed to do an assessment in case the building either fell, whether the building would fall within itself or it would fall over.
Construction was also halted on the new Royal Roads campus behind Ridgeview Place. The province has offered help to cover displaced renters for 5 days. That's set to run out soon. Post-secondary students in BC who need loans will soon get more support. The provincial government is doubling interest-free student loan maximums starting in August. Students without dependents will be eligible for up to $220 a week. Those who do have dependents will qualify for up to $280 weekly. Loan repayment will be a little easier as well. Graduates earning less than $40,000 a year will not have to make payments while looking for jobs in their fields. For those making more than $40K, payments will be cut from 20% to 10%. The province says it's meant to help with a labor shortage.
Over the next decade, BC will need to fill more than 1 million job openings. For 80% of those jobs, people will need to have some kind of post-secondary education or training. And for about 1/3 of all jobs, people will need to learn new skills to keep up with evolving requirements. We need to help people get the skills they need to fill the jobs of today and tomorrow.
Part of the plan will also give $3,500 to students studying skills in technology, energy, healthcare, and early childhood education. The BC Real Estate Association is predicting a province-wide drop in home sales this year as the rolling average of total sales in Greater Vancouver sits in a 17-month slump. Just under 2,000 sales were recorded in the Greater Vancouver area last month. That's down from the high of more than 3,700 nearly 2 years ago. But while sales have slipped, prices have again started to climb. Analysts expect the market will bounce back at the end of this year. Surrey has a massive new tasty accolade. It has been named one of the next great food cities in the world. Food and Wine magazine shows Surrey along 6 other big cities, including Venice, Marseille, and Kanazawa in Japan. Leanne Young shows us why.
Ah, Surrey, where a sprawling metropolis meets plenty of green space, and where you might still be able to afford a backyard. The fastest growing city in British Columbia has a reputation. Not always a fair one, but this is something to be proud of. Surrey, a world-class culinary destination? Food and Wine magazine has just dubbed Surrey one of the next great food cities in the world. I love talking about food. I found food blogger Raj Tandi, who's lived here her entire life. We're here at her favorite restaurant to hear what she has to say about the new title.
Chicken corn soup is like my absolute go-to at Dragon Walk.
This like reminds me of my childhood.
It's like a hug in a bowl, right?
It is like a hug in a bowl. When you heard Food and Wine magazine said Surrey, the next great food city, what was your reaction?
First, I almost cried because I love this city. And second, I was so like vindicated. I was like, I've been saying this for years that like Surrey has the best food scenes.
So tell me, what sets Surrey's food scene apart for you?
For a long time, people would know that we have Indian restaurants, but even within the Indian community now, you know, you'll have a South Indian restaurant, you'll have a Punjabi restaurant, Bengali even, and then beyond that, like we have this whole community of Pakistani restaurants, Bangladeshi restaurants. Like I love Dragon Walk because it encapsulates so many things I love about the Surrey food scene. First, it's here in File Plaza, which is like the hub, the heart of Surrey's food scene. Secondly, it shows a beautiful like micro-culture inside of Indian food. Indo-Chinese is really distinctly from a region of India, Calcutta, where there was a lot of immigrants who came over from China, and to preserve their own culture, but also to build a new life, they started these street-side restaurants. So this is another uniquely Indo-Chinese thing. It's called Manchurian. So Manchurian is kind of a cross between fried Indian fritters like pakoras and like a more, I want to call it like a food court style Chinese sauce, you know, like really sweet sauce.
It tastes like a pakora that's been, you know, slathered with this delicious sweet and sour sauce.
Yes, and so that is, Manchurian is very much like a uniquely Indo-Chinese feature. And I feel like that's something that you get in India, or you get it in a region that is really specialized in different foods, like Surrey. Like it's really a unique offering.
You can't really talk about Surrey's food scene without coming here. Celebrity chef Vikram Vij's place, many would say he put the culinary scene on the map. Why Surrey? Why not Richmond? Why not Burnaby? Why not some of those other cities? What did you see in Surrey that you thought, this is it?
I had just had that feeling that South Surrey was going to be the location, or Surrey was going to be the location that I think the immigrants will come. I saw the development that was happening, and I knew what was going to happen down the road. I could see that it was difficult for everybody to not, afford the rents in Vancouver, for example. So, the homes were being built out here. People were coming out here, necessity, the lines were being built here. I knew that Surrey was going to become a huge cultural and a food, center city, basically. I think I'm truly humbled and honored to be that person that saw the vision 10 years ago and to come out here and to create a space that is so beautiful and create a working environment that is so beautiful for the people and create the food that people absolutely love and respect. And I'm truly humbled by it because, at that time it was, a little bit of a risk, right? It was a total risk.
So as you were starting to develop the menu here at this restaurant, what did you have in mind as you're thinking about this community and how they would receive your food here?
The menu was based on little travels to Jaipur and Udaipur and Rajasthan and South India and all over India because I had traveled extensively. And the idea was still to bridge that gap of beautiful traditional Indian food, but by using produce from our backyard, from the Fraser Valley, from the farmers, from the fishermen, from the wineries that are here, for example.
Part of the vibrancy of Surrey's food scene is the growing Black community. Surrey is now home to the largest Black community in all of BC. And I'm here in the middle of, it appears nowhere, right next to a parking lot, about to talk to the chef of Tommy's Jerk. And he says it's his community that gave him the encouragement to open right in the middle of COVID.
Get scrubbed and they come back out. Woo! So fire is unforgiving. And that's a lesson I learned. I've done this enough times and I don't know why I just put my hand in them. Vancouver isn't the place necessarily known until us for jerk chicken. That's back in Toronto, right? So I get the people that come from Toronto and they want to let me know they're from Toronto and this street and that street. And that's what a jerk scene is true. However, things have changed.
So why did you even pick this location? We're literally in the middle of nowhere.
Come on, friend. And we're number one. So I just got, why did I choose this spot? There were 3 spots. I wasn't exactly sure which one. There was a spot in Vancouver, there was a spot in Poco, and there was a spot here in Surrey. Those are the 3. When I first signed the contract here, there was nothing but an empty parking space. And when I signed the contract that day, there was like a tumbleweed that went by. I was like, oh boy. Inside of the Black community, the BBABC, the BEBC, the BIPOC Foundation, they were just, a couple of years ago, they were all starting out and trying to find other Black-owned businesses and give their support to them and rally the troops around them. And so I'm grateful for them. Those are the 3 that gave me my greatest start. The BBABC with Nuris and her whole crew, they pulled up here in the middle of nothing. I had one little baby grill that you get at a big box store for $58, and that's how I got started. And I was like...
And they pulled up here with what?
Her family, her husband, and the kids, and they were like, and she went live on her feed, and I was like, whoa, oh my goodness, like if you see the thing, and then they've been supporting me since day number 1.
So these organizations...
Oh, they matter. When you get started, sometimes you think you're the only one there, but you're not. There are so many other people going through the same thing.
So what did you think when you heard that Surrey has been named the next great food city, one of 7 in the world?
Let's go. We are a collective here. If you've never been to Surrey, just come, bring friends, bring family. You can literally get anything from here. Yes, I love my food. Yes, I'll say come to Tommy's Jerk all day long. But if I want Korean fried chicken, I can get that, right? If I want rice from any culture, if I want something from South Indian cuisine, if I want something African, if I want something Australian, if I can get something from each one of these cultures, it's amazing. All you got to do is take a look at Surrey and come. You don't necessarily have to come to mine. You just got to come, and once you come, you'll see it'll change your life. I promise you that.
So there you have it. Come to Surrey, including those of us Vancouverites who seem to think it's very far. It's not that bad. I hope we've given you just a taste of what the city has to offer.
Now I want jerk chicken. More sun is coming, though. Johanna will have your BC-wide forecast next. Hello again. Sad news if you like bowling, and who doesn't? One of the oldest alleys in Metro Vancouver is set to close. The popular Revs Entertainment bowling alley in Burnaby was sold to a developer last month. The popular facility was first opened in 1962, and many patrons say its shutdown is a big loss to their community.
Well, unfortunately, due to extremely high property taxes for over a decade, we've had no choice but to sell this property to a local developer, and we're going to be here we're on a multi-year lease back. We're being taxed based on highest and best use, so they're taxing what they think this property should have, and in their opinion, it should have multiple towers and a commercial component to that development. And being beside Holden Sky train station, it makes a lot of sense. We've had Bowl for Big Brothers here, supporting Big Brothers for at least 2 decades up to COVID. The Guinness Book of World Records in 2004 for the most number of pins knocked down over a 24-hour period by 10 bowlers, so quite proud of that. Special Olympics, schools, fundraisers, group events, you name it, we've done it here.
I didn't go out much in my home country back in India, and I tried my first bowling here. So this is kind of my first bowling place, Raves, and I have been coming here since then.
I was shocked when I found out, but yeah, it's one of the staple places around this area. So I was kind of sad to hear about the news.
I think it was quite surprising and kind of sad, shocking, but I haven't heard about the news until recently, so I think it's kind of disheartening.
The courtyard of a Victoria Independent Seniors Castle was lively yesterday as a 104-year-old veteran began walking laps again to raise money for Save the Children's Emergency Fund. This is John Hillman's 4th year of fundraising. He started in 2020 when he walked 101 laps round Carlton House of Oak Bay Courtyard to mark his 101st birthday. He's added 1 lap for every birthday he celebrates. He plans to complete at least 10 laps a day to meet his goal of raising $104,000.
Out of breath a bit, but okay. Not bad for 104.
Yeah. He gets old every year just like the rest of us do, but it doesn't hold him back.
Hillman's laps have raised more than $333,000 so far. Well done, Mr. Hillman.
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace, installing the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train.
Our BC-wide weather forecast with meteorologist Johanna Wagstaff. Another lovely day to be outside. Maybe slip on the headphones, play some Gordon Lightfoot, give him a tribute to the old troubadour. Lovely day to do that.
That is actually exactly what I did this afternoon. Yeah,
Me too.
To Q. Yeah, Tom Power setting the scene with Gordon. Yeah, that was it was a nice day for reflection. And we've got another nice day for whatever you want to do outdoors in Metro Vancouver. If you liked a bit of the taste of summer today, high pressure cleared things out. This time last night, we had the showers rolling through Metro Vancouver, much more stable this evening. Another day of sunshine and summer temperatures for the South Coast, but I am watching the risk of an afternoon severe thunderstorm across the BC interior tomorrow. And with those severe thunderstorms comes the risk of downpours and possible flooding with our rivers running so high thanks to the spring melt. So that's tomorrow afternoon. Temperatures, as you can see, through Tuesday, Wednesday, still in the mid-20s. It's Friday. We start to see them come down. By the weekend, we're back to seasonal across the province. And that transition is also going to come with a lot of rain for the coast on Friday. So enjoy tomorrow if you can along the coast where we do have another day of sunshine and above seasonal temperatures. We're talking 5 to 10 degrees above seasonal. You can see Prince George, Williams Lake up towards Fort St. John. You're sort of above that risk of instability, but there in Kelowna looking to see that afternoon thunderstorm. And there is concern again that could push water levels over the top if we get some thunderstorms training, meaning moving over the same area, which is what sometimes happens this time of the year. 19 tomorrow at YVR, 24 inland, so just a touch warmer than where we were at today. Coming down on Thursday, but I do think we get mainly sunny day. It's Thursday evening, the showers roll in. This is a washout of a Friday. We're going to have to keep our eye on the warnings. Wouldn't be surprised if we see a special weather statement for all that rain. And then, Dan, look at that. The weekend looking pretty good again. The models
My
have shifted
goodness,
in
we'll
our
take
favor.
it. Little early morning rain and sunshine. It'll be all right.
Bob's your uncle.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
That's your late news for Tuesday. Thanks for joining us tonight. For news anytime, check our website, cbc.ca/BC. Your next local news is on the early edition on CBC Radio 1. That starts tomorrow morning at 5 o'clock. Good night.